What's up, folks? It is Tuesday night. What is it? May 31st, the end of May coming up. Summer is just around the corner. And if you live down here in Florida, it's summer all the time. It was a crazy Memorial Day weekend, meaning there was tons of fun on the beach, on the boats, on the jet skis. Everybody was out, but we hope that everyone was safe. More importantly, to make sure you're able to enjoy the rest of your summer. But with that being said, tonight, we have the president of the Basketball League, David Magley, will be with us. Will be with on us tonight. Will be with us. If I get the words out right, will be with us tonight. So we'll discuss about his career and then more importantly about the TBL playoffs, because for the first time in the Tampa Bay Titans franchise history, which I was able to say last Friday, the Tampa Bay Titans are in the playoffs, and they will be playing the Tallahassee Southern Kings. During the regular season, it was split between both teams. So this is the best of three, which means obviously you have to win 2 out of the 3 in order to advance to the next round. So we'll get into that with David, also about his Cleveland Cavalier day as a professional basketball player. So it's going to be lots of fun. And of course, the Godfather's waiting on the other side. So thank you all for tuning in tonight here stateside, overseas, Australia, Kenya, Philippines, you name it, and in South America. We do appreciate it. As it is episode 138, we thank you. I'm Angel, and welcome to Broad Street South. And sometimes he's like the dreams and nightmares that you don't want. But nevertheless, it is the Godfather, Mike. See, I figured you would come in like the Eagles, a little bit of Meek Mill there of our friends with dreams and nightmares. But Fuji, how are you this Tuesday evening?
Tuesday night, coming off a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to everybody in the military for their service once again. They're not thanked enough. NBA stage finals is set. Golden State, Boston, OTAs kicking off. Phillies are a train wreck. Angel, how are you? Let's get the show rocking. Let's talk TBL basketball playoffs. I'm fired up for this one. Get it rocking.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the Phillies are a mess, but we'll get into that a little bit later on because as many people want, obviously, Joe Girardi out of here. We had a discussion earlier. You can't blame it all on Joe Girardi. And by the way, if you guys see a couple of spots and stuff going on here on the screen, because in the studio windows, you guys can see here, it is not dark out here, so the sun is setting. And unfortunately, you'll see all kinds of weird zones and stuff going on because, it faces out there towards the sunset.
The Lord's blessing with those sun rays right there on Broad Street South, right there on that logo. Amen.
It could be. It very well could be. I see the comments already coming in tonight, but again, from the Basketball League. And if you guys do not follow the Basketball League, you can follow it on TBL Pro League on Twitter, T Basketball League on Instagram, and on Facebook, the Basketball League. Also, you can follow David Magley where? Of course, right there at the TBL Pro League. And with that being said, we'll bring in the man himself. David, how are you this evening? And thank you for joining us tonight.
So the first question has to be Pats, Geno's, or Tony Luke's?
Well, I'll let Fuji go first.
You know what? This question is so saturated in this city. It's because you either like your steak chopped very fine, chopped up, or you like the slabs, which Geno and Pats do. Also, I believe Tony Luke's. It depends on what mood I'm in. I mean, I'll say this: everybody loves Geno's being the original. I mean, Pat's being the original, but Geno's is cleaner than Pat's. If you ever notice, like, you know, to me, sanitary wise, this question's so overrated. And
Fuji, but you got to think about it though. Some places that are like almost like dumpster dives are the better place to go. Like, so for me, I've been a Pats fan all my life. That's where we went as kids. That's where you end up going. Geno's just become like Vegas across the street with the lights and shirts and everything else. So for me, David, I will say, just from my own place here, you have Geno's with the co-host, and for me, I believe Pat Steak's one of the bigger staples in Philadelphia.
I'm not saying either. I'll take Tony Luke's for a preference because to me, it's like Geno's and Pat's are just.
And Mike, I'm joining you with Tony Luke's. And I'll go a step further and say the best in the Gulf Coast is in Bradenton, Florida, at a place called South Philly. It's right across the street. It's actually same side of the street as IMG Academy, and I've eaten there 100 times. I lived in Bradenton. Probably 80 of the times Nick Bollettieri is over there from IMG eating one, and it's just a kind of a staple. And he literally flies his bread in every day from Philly.
Where does he get the bread from?
I don't know that. Maybe he'd have to kill me if you told me. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, for years it was Amoroso, but now you got Isgrove, not Isgrove's. That's pastries. You got Zarcoons, and there's another. It's the bread that makes it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody talks about the bread with the water and whatever's in the bread. It's the water up here. That's what it's always been discussed.
It's funny, in South Philly, my favorite sandwich is their chicken. They do a chopped up chicken that is just oof.
Tony Luke's.
Tony Luke's too. South Philly and Bradenton.
Tony Luke's has a hell of a chicken cutlet sandwich.
No, they do.
He goes over the steaks.
I had Tony Luke's cheesesteak with eggs for breakfast in the Philly airport about 2 months ago. And I'm sitting there going, I'm going to be late to my plane, but I don't care. I'm enjoying the sandwich.
Give me the chicken cutlet sandwich with the sharp provolone any day. Everybody can have the steaks and all that. Because you know what? There's so many places here that D'Alessandro's in East Falls, Jim Steaks used to be. I don't know if they're on South Street still, but there's such a preference. Everybody's got like a different preference of a Philly cheesesteak.
I have a sales manager when I did a earlier life that was in Philly, and the only rule was if I'm in town 2 or 3 days, we eat at a different steak place every day. Just because I want to experience what the flavor is. If I go back to Indiana, where I'm from, I want to have whatever the best pizza is with the best Hungarian or Polish dinner that's going on there, and just get a vibe for it. And Philadelphia, that's just what it's famous for.
You would actually have to take a full day just to go around to the famous places and just choose what you would like. Because like I said, this conversation, I guess when you're from Philly and you have cheesesteaks at your fingertips, it's kind of like you could order from a nearby pizza place.
Yeah.
Which 9 times out of 10, they pretty much chop the meat up real fine. So
yeah.
But you could go to Gino's or across the street to Pat's and right down front in Oregon at Tony Luke. So it's to me, just you come to Philly, I'll take you around and we'll just do a cheesesteak test.
I think I had a really good steak one day sandwich at a place called Oregon Trail down there about a mile from Tony Luke's. Because that's all down in the south by the stadium. It's not far from there, right? I mean,
there was. I don't know if it's still there, called Oregon Steaks.
Yeah, I think that's where I was. I had one of those one time. When you said it was on Oregon, I'm like, wait a minute. I've been to a place called Oregon Steaks.
You could actually walk up to the window like you can any of the 3 places. And
yeah.
Well, I believe it's still there.
When I first started going to Tony Luke's, they didn't have a restaurant. It was only a walk-up. And then they went across the street and built a restaurant. I felt like it lost a little bit when it was like domesticated and you sat down and ordered it from a menu. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. You're supposed to order it and sit outside.
Well, Tony Luke's across the street, they used to have an Italian restaurant. Then they converted it into a sports bar, which is no longer there. So
it's been a minute.
Sean says it's still there. That Oregon Steaks is still there.
All right.
Yeah, and you get delicious food. And which way you look, you go to Passyunk Avenue. Passyunk Avenue, David, doesn't even look the way it used to before. I mean, it's filled with so many different restaurants. Granted, the Italian market is almost kind of gone for the most part, but it's still, great food and great place to go to down there. And that's for sure. Jim Steaks, I like Jim Steaks as well in South Philly. They're quick. Like Pat Steaks, you're in and out real fast. But it's all good places. But if I had to defend a place down here locally, in the Tampa region, you got Richie Cheesesteaks. And Richie's, the owner's originally from South Philly. He still gets his bread every single day from Amoroso, and that's what makes the actual cheesesteak. So he does that, and he does the boardwalk fries. So you get a flavor of both from Philly and from the shore. And speaking of the AC Gambits are playing tonight. So it's good food. I will say that much, and it's always a good time. Food you can always go on forever and ever because it's always good stuff. But first of all, thanks again for joining us again tonight. And to start off, I guess going way back before we get into the TBL, I'd like to know, coming out of high school, you're nominated as the Indiana Man, if I remember correctly. Mr. Indiana basketball, I think the term is used properly instead of the Indiana Man, but coming out of high school, going into then the college into Kansas, how was it being a Kansas Jayhawk?
I'm an Indiana kid. It's a dream come true to play in one of the big conference, big schools. It came down to me to Indiana, Michigan, and Purdue. IU, when Coach Knight came to visit, didn't go very well. I made the mistake of asking the wrong question, and he kind of blew up on me. So that wasn't very good. And it was, quite frankly, I thought it was a neat place. And the longer I play, it's like being Mr. Basketball in Indiana has an award that means so much more the older you get, because people recognize that concept as a gold standard. Playing basketball at Kansas is a big deal the older you get. And quite frankly, Coach Williams, Coach Self, they've done an incredible job of building on the program. And even Coach Brown, after my coach, all did a nice job. Coach Owens was my coach for 19 years, was there 19 years, and went to a couple Final Fours. And then Coach Brown won the championship with Danny Manning, and Coach Williams went to 3 Final Fours, and now Bill's won two national championships. And it's just, what a great place to play. They're passionate. It's all about basketball. It's not a football school. It's a basketball school. And football's okay, but it's nothing like that. I mean, it's a big deal to be a Kansas basketball player. And being from Indiana, it's kind of a pretty neat thing to get to be a part of both of those traditions.
Dave, just to touch on, I was researching you a little bit this morning when I heard you're coming on. You just played 1 year in the NBA. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just played long enough for them to realize they made a gross error in judgment drafting me so high. I was drafted by a guy named Bill Musselman, whose son Eric is the head coach at Arkansas. And Bill really liked what Detroit was doing with Isaiah Thomas and Kelly Tripucka. Kelly was a very athletic 6'6" wing from Notre Dame, and Isaiah was, the IU great. So he drafted a guy named John Bagley from Boston College, and me. Bags was the 17th pick of the first round, and I was the 28th pick, the 5th pick of the second round. And he thought, he would have a team that could run like that. Before he could ever prove his concept, they fired him in the exhibition season. So it kind of made me expendable, because the new guy that came in didn't see us that way, saw a different talent. I played a little over half a year and was doing, it seemed to be the last few games, I was picking up, getting in every game, getting to play a few minutes. And then he called me to the office and said, Mags, we're gonna give you a guaranteed contract next year. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. He goes, yep. And that's I think my pay the year 2 in the contract was supposed to be $150, which was a lot of money back then. And he said, but we need you to go on the injured reserve list. And I said, well, I'm not hurt. He goes, that's no big deal. We're only allowed to keep 12, but we can keep 3 injured guys. And we're going to move you to a guard. And there was no such thing as a 6'8" white guard back then. And I was kind of like a unicorn the way I played. And so they're going to develop me while they bring in another small forward to work him out. And I said, what does that mean? I said, you got to fake an injury for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, we'll put somebody else on the injured reserve list. And that's how we'll manage our roster the rest of the year. We're not going to the playoffs, so we just want to develop you a different way. And while it was flattering and it was very appealing, it was compromising. And I don't compromise. In my mind, I share with them, what is the profit of man to gain the world, lose his soul? He says, you will never play again in the NBA. If you don't do this, not only will we cut you, we'll cut you and we'll make certain no other team ever gives you another tryout, another contract. And I'm like, well, you don't have that kind of power. And if you think you do, go for it. So they did. They cut me in, and yeah, it was emotional because I'd never failed at anything in my life, and now I was back to square one. And by the time I got to Kansas City, the head coach of the Kansas City Kings, which was where Sacramento used to have their team, was in KC. Cotton Fitzsimmons said, "Mags, come down to Kemp Arena. I want to talk to you." And I thought he was going to give me a 10-day contract there, and he said, "You need to go to Europe because no one in the NBA will give you another real look for a few years because of the things that the then head coach Tom Nasalki had said about me from Cleveland. They said you were the last one to practice, the first one to leave. You got a really bad attitude. You're not a good teammate, and you wouldn't go on the injured list." The only thing that was true about that whole story was I wouldn't go on the injured list. I was the first one to practice. I'm an Indiana kid. What else do we have to do but play ball? Last one to leave. I was the best teammate. They had to tell me to sit down and stop cheering so much because that's just was about I wanted to win. I wanted to be a part of something. And so I didn't fit the culture where they were. And looking back on it 40 years later, I'm the wealthiest man I've ever met. I don't have any money, but I got a great faith that's real. I got a smoking hot wife. I got amazing kids, 4 of them all college athletes, and I got soon to be 8 grandbabies. I don't think you can have more than that, and I'm not certain I would have had any of that had I compromised and chased the money and stayed there. So it was not the greatest NBA story, but it's the best success of my life because I never knew that I was if I was capable of being that bold, and I'm glad I am, and I think I benefited for it.
That's a very interesting story. It's as they say, God closes one door and opens another. Whereas you said, the materials aren't everything. It's just more like you say, your family, your wife, having your health, being happy. All best things in life.
Well, Mike, we all have an end date that's coming, and
Right.
and the question is, what do we do with that time in that dash, right? And
Exactly, that's where it counts.
I've got 528 young men that are playing pro basketball because of what we do. I've got 190 that are playing around the world, 12 in the NBA G League and 3 in the NBA, and none of that would happen for most of these kids if it wasn't for the basketball league. So even though I'm in my early 60s, I'm still relevant. I still know what time it is. When I see these kids and they say, "Mags, you got some fine drip on your arm," I know what they're talking about. I'm not looking for the leak from the ceiling. I know they're talking about bling or jewelry or something because I get to be relevant because I'm around you. So it's keeping me young. It's giving me a chance to do something that most people my age are talking about. Send my check to the third palm tree from the left. Man, my retirement plan is death at Walmart. I'm never retiring. If I sell this league, I'm coaching high school again. I'm doing something, but I'm never going to retire because I got too much to do.
It's your passion and desire.
Amen.
Yeah, sure. And listen, one thing that we always say, and I'm pretty sure those who listen to us all the time hear it, but one thing that we say here on the show is that once this becomes basically not fun anymore, then you don't do it. And for us, we have as much fun as we possibly can because we love what we do, especially Fuji and I. I mean, we have a blast doing this. It's a lot of fun. And that's what we hope to keep growing and keep excelling and keep doing what we're doing. And then now, even with the basketball league, having the opportunity of broadcasting over 145 countries, that's amazing within itself. And it's fun for those who haven't been to a game, whether you live in Florida, Indiana, if you're out there in New York. I mean, obviously in Jersey Shore, you got the AC Gambits that are playing tonight. If you get the opportunity to go, first of all, the tickets are I believe between $10 to $15, very reasonable, even during the playoffs. The excitement is as good as it gets because you have times where we've seen with the Tampa Bay Titans, one part this season, we're down by 22 points at the half, and then they're coming back to win by 22 at the end of the game, and that's how quick the momentum shifts. And some teams are only able to show up with 8 guys, not because they want to, it's just with the availability they have. But those 8 guys play like 12 men, and it's crazy to see that. We saw it in the last home game on Friday. So it's this league, I will say, as we talk about it here, mixed in with everything else, but the league itself, it's so much fun to go to. It's very family friendly, number one. So if you want to take the family out for a good time, and under $50, basically you can take everyone out. And they do, some locations have refreshments and stuff at the door. But the excitement within itself, it's fast paced. There's no, commercials in between. So the game just, it's, quick bam, and it seems like it's over. At the half, it's 10 minutes. It's a quick half, and then we're right back to the action again. And for the players, I feel, Dave, and I could be wrong, but for the players, I think also that 10-minute period in between the half, they like it as well because of whether you're up by 2, you're down by 2, or you're even, no matter which way you look at it, they're dying to get back on the court to showcase their talents and what they're planning to do for future agents and coaches and everybody else. So for us as fans, as broadcasters, as people, we'd like to thank you and Evelyn for what you guys have done to be able to put these guys on that kind of platform. I'm not going to say pedestal, but that kind of platform where they can go out there and they can show exactly what they're all about and they can hone their skills in. I mean, you take Bessel Harfuch, the owner of the Tampa Bay Titans. I mean, he had the opportunity of playing overseas. Then he comes back from overseas. He basically jumps on a plane, comes back, starts playing with the team about the 3rd game in. And unfortunately, he was injured, and he's still injured, nursing the hamstring. But it just goes to show you how quickly things can develop. And in the entire league, it's great because you can see people sharing other people's posts. You can see them commentating on there. And so it's different from the, not trying to bring the NBA into it, but different from the NBA, where the NBA, you may not be as recognized as you do with the TVL, meaning even by your social media platforms. You could say something, you could be a fan of the Titans, but you could say something about Tallahassee when they're playing on a whole different night. Or you could say something about the current teams right now playing throughout the playoffs. So it's been fun for me, the experience so far this year. I can't wait to do it again come next year. But I'm taking in the moment leading up to the first playoff game because that's going to be exciting, and I hope everybody turns out in Tampa, Florida. But it's amazing what you guys have been able to put together. And I guess, like you said, being a professional player yourself and playing in college, you've had now that opportunity within your own self to showcase these guys and what they can do. And speaking about showcasing, I want to see if this is correct because I'm looking at a throwback picture here. Is this the Larry Bird against David Magley back when you were with the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah, or it could be some other random white guy, but it looks enough like me that I think.
Dave,
it's funny what you're saying though. We try to build rivalries. Your game last week was against Gulf Coast from Sarasota, and Tallahassee's not that far away. In Eastern PA, where you all are, we've got a team in Allentown, a team in Reading, and a team in Lancaster. And those 3 teams have great broadcasting crews, and they go at it. And to your point, we want to be a showcase league for everybody. We want to see our broadcasters get bigger gigs because of this. We want to see our dancers. Some of our teams leverage all the TV timeouts and all the spots because it's more of an entertainment for something like a Kokomo. The smaller the town, believe it or not, it's easier to succeed in a league like this in a smaller market than a bigger market because Tampa's a major pro market. Tampa has got the baseball, and it's got the football, it's got the hockey. So they think that they should have major. So it's a lot easier for Kokomo than it is for Tampa, or for Lebanon than it is for San Diego, or it is for Jamestown, New York, than it would be for New York City. Because what else is there to do in some of these markets? Right. So they really get embraced by the fans. They're a big deal. When you're in Kokomo, they're posting on a Wednesday. We got to make more strawberry and lemonade because our guys are coming in today for lunch, and the hometown cafe is going to be packed with fans wanting to see their local guys. What a cool thing for a guy that can't make it to the NBA or the G League and doesn't necessarily want to go overseas or needs a venue to get overseas. It seems to work well.
Dave, going back to 82, 83, the Sixers ended up beating sweeping the Lakers in 4 games. What was it like playing against Moses Malone and Julius Erving, Magic Johnson?
Well, if I was a step faster, Dr. J would have dunked on me on national TV. I just couldn't catch him. It was a blessing. And it's funny. I'm a fan just like everyone else. So when I meet Doc, it's like, oh my God, that's Dr. J. I mean, I don't do autographs, but I'm sure wanting one. I'm wanting to and you know what? He walked in our locker room at Cleveland. We were cheap. Everyone else's locker room had sodas and beer on tap, and it was like a little pub in there. Cleveland, I had change that I could go get sodas out of the soda machine. So he's like, "Hey, Rook, is there anything with caffeine in here? I'm kind of needing some caffeine." I'm like, "Sure, Dr. Chapstick." and I ran out with all the change I had. But I didn't ask him what kind of soda he wanted, so I bought like one of every kind they had. And he was laughing. He's like, "I don't need 5 of them." I'm like, "Dude, I didn't know which one you wanted." And I didn't get in the game. And after the game, he sought me out and he said, "Hey, I talked to Billy C about you. He thinks you're a pretty good player." And whether he did or he didn't have to go the extra mile to validate me as a rookie that's insignificant just because I bought him a soda. So I'm I really, that experience, and then going to playing the Spectrum, that's where Rocky fought in the mythical movie, and they were on their way to win the world championship with Moses' famous 4-4-4. They were going to win every series in 4 games, and and they were good. And they had Mo Cheeks and Andrew Toney and Bobby Jones, and they were just Daryl Dawkins. They were just a fun team to play against, and it was an honor to get to be on the court with them. And earlier, the year before, so my college career, my freshman year, I played against Magic. They won a championship, Michigan State. My senior year, Michael Jordan's first game was against us that he ever played. So Michael Jordan's initial game in college was against Kansas. I had 24, he had 12, but I wear his clothes. He doesn't wear mine. He's not wearing mine, but I'm wearing Air Jordan. So he did a little better than I did.
Right.
Well, I'm going to bring in the other team broadcaster who ended up making his way over to the Toronto Blue Jays. Don't hold it against him, David. It's okay. He's a Phillies fan, but he was able to conjure up another gig with the Toronto Blue Jays, and it is our local Tampa correspondent, Dylan Spaulding. And Dylan, I already see you already sporting the Kansas jersey.
So I'll be honest, and I hope my audio is okay. Again, I'm using my computer mic, so I'm kind of going a little bit of a cheapy audio version here tonight for myself. But no, I actually didn't even realize I was wearing the Kansas jersey until like today. I literally put it on just to wear around as I was out doing some stuff. So it kind of worked out that David, you ended up attending Kansas. So I guess this was kind of perfect for the occasion tonight. But great to be joined with everybody.
It is. Let me tell you something. Bill Self is the real deal. He's a great guy. And, when Roy was there, the unwritten rule before Roy Williams got to Kansas was that you had to be a consensus first-team All-American, top 5 player to have your jersey retired. So Wilt, JoJo White, Bill Bridges, like 3 other guys. There was only 7 or 8 guys ever had their jersey retired in the first 50 plus years of Kansas basketball. Roy comes in and he changes the rules. You just have to be an All-American. So he retires 15 guys' jerseys in 15 years. So now there's 23 guys that got their jersey retired. None of them from my era. None of them. So Bill comes in and he goes, if that's the criteria, we need to lay that down against everyone that came before Roy. So then they retired Darnell's jersey, Valentine, Bud Stallworth, Walt Wesley. I mean, a lot of guys that were good players. Don't know if any of them should have had their jersey retired, but it was the right thing to do because, that's what you do. You honor the people that came before you. If the rules change, you got to go back and honor those other ones. And recently they retired Cole Aldridge's jersey. And the only thing he did was a first-team academic All-American. Well, heck, I was a first-team academic All-American, but I for sure don't think I should have had my jersey retired. So, it's got to be a little crazy.
Yeah, that is. Dylan, I don't know if you had a follow-on, but yes, Dylan, your audio sounds great.
Okay, good. I want to make sure. I'm not used to not having my mic with me. I just want to make sure. So,
Dave, as far as that jersey numbers being retired for Kansas, was Danny Manning another one?
Oh, yeah. Danny's jersey would have been retired regardless of the era.
Right.
Danny is the best basketball player in Kansas history. You can't argue it. There's no, Wilt was a great player. Well, I mean, Wilt averaged in the 30s in his 3 years at Kansas. In his 2 years at Kansas, Wilt had the scoring record at Kansas for many years, and he only played 2 years. People forget Wilt didn't play as a freshman, and he played for the Globetrotters the senior year. So he only played 2 years at Kansas. But Danny, as a 4-year starter, got it done. And I'm here to tell you, he is the real deal too. He's the classiest guy. If I text Danny and I say congrats on the job at Louisville, getting the assistant coaching job, Mags, I appreciate it. I'm not significant to him. He doesn't need to do that, but he always is respectful, always comes back, and I appreciate people that do that. That's why I'm a big Bill fan and a big Danny fan.
Did you have the pleasure of meeting Will Chamberlain?
Yes, I met him when we played USC when I was a sophomore, I think, out in Los Angeles, and he was at the game with Coach Wooden, and that was I got to meet Coach Wooden the same day. He coached at where I went to junior high school. So South Bend Central is where Johnny Wooden's second coaching job was before he went to Manchester College and then went out to Indiana State, then went out to UCLA. So, I used to walk the hallways in that old high school, the original school in South Bend, and look at the walls, and Johnny Wooden was up there, and then so was Mike Warren. And Mike Warren is Bobby Hill from Hill Street Blues.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
His son is Cashmere, and Cash married Jessica Alba. So, he's got a pretty interesting story. And he won 3 national championships with Kareem when he was Lou Alcindor out at UCLA. So Mike Warren was a starting guard for 3 years at UCLA, and he's a South Bend guy.
Just to touch on a little Philly flavor as far as basketball, there's been some, besides Will coming out of Philly, there's been some great players. Earl the Pearl Monroe, Pooh Richardson. I'm sure you've heard of this gentleman who I believe still has a radio show on 94 WIP Sunday mornings. Gentleman's name is Sonny Hill, which used to run the Sonny Hill League.
Mm-hmm. Sonny Hill is, I don't know him personally. He's really good friends with Larry Brown. So when Larry was coaching at Kansas and we would work Larry's camp, Sonny would always come in and spend, a few days around the camp because he and Larry were good friends through the years. So he's really well respected in the basketball world. People really give him a lot of love, and it's you're right. Philadelphia is famous for great basketball. It's just there's a lot of great schools, lots of great champions. Obviously, Nova got it done, but people don't realize all the great schools that are around there that play. What's that called? The Big Five? All those teams around.
It used to be the Big Five, and last couple of years they changed it to the City Six.
Okay.
Because they added Drexel University to it.
Okay.
Which you really don't have those rivalries like you did back at the Palestra here in Philly. Not so much. Because like I said, they hadn't had the Big Five, all these teams had rivalries going back probably, the 80s and before.
So I think my favorite Philadelphia team was that Phil Martelli team when Jameer Nelson and Delonte West were making that run. That was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like 1994 in that era.
It's funny. Not to change the topic, but I asked a famous former NBA, a couple of them. Kendrick Perkins is one. I said, let me ask you this. Is it a fair statement to say that most guys that play 10 years or longer feel like Delonte West looks when they come out of the NBA? And he goes, man, that's a great point. Because they've done something their whole life and all of a sudden it's done. And it happens to manifest itself with Delonte and mental health and right. Problems. But there's a lot of guys that get out of that NBA without purpose and without direction, and they're feeling like he looks. And that's something that we need to be a little more sensitive to, I think, as a business. Right. So one of the things we pride ourselves in is we want our coaches and our executives and our team market owners to look like our players, so our players have something to dream of. That we want them to play, and then when they get done, I'm not just an entertainer. I can do more than this. And what do we do is we give them a greater purpose of what they're looking for. And that's why we do financial literacy classes and do things that are unique. Right. You mentioned the NBA earlier, Angel. The one thing I would say, and I'm a big Warriors guy because I just like the style of play. I like the fact they've got a lot of homegrown guys, and I got a lot of respect for that. But the one thing that hit me wrong was when Draymond flipped off Memphis and said, "What do I give a F? Because I make $25 million. If they bang me 25 grand, I don't give an F." Now, to me, part of the issue with that is, but if I'm a paying father of 4, it took me a week's pay to save up to get a decent ticket, park, get food, and buy some merch, just so I could watch you play. And you casually throw that off? Like, what do I care? I make $25 million. What makes this unique is that, man, none of our guys make much money. They do it because they love it. And they love, as Angel said, when they're done, these kids love interacting with the crowds. They love being a part of the TVL family and all that. They see my wife, they run up and give her hugs. And if they got a problem with their kid or their girl, they might ask her for prayer. Or, it's just a different world that we're in. And we get to know these young men as people. And they're pretty special stories. And that's what makes it pretty cool, because they've got so much more value than the fact that they're multimillionaires that can put a ball in the hole.
Oh, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, one of the fans, youngest fans that we've had with at Blake High School all season long, she can't be more than probably 3 or 4 years old. And she comes in every single week with her mom, and she'll sit there, she'll dance a little bit, she'll sing a little bit. I mean, and just as calm as can be. Excuse me. Doesn't scream or anything else, and enjoys loving being there. And I think that's what makes a difference, because you may not get a packed house every single week, but it's the fans who appreciate the game. It's the fans, that want to come there. It's also the girlfriends, the wives who support their man, their player on the floor. And we've had even the team that's played away that may have had local fans. Because like I said, you can be a Tampa Bay Titans fan, but if Tallahassee comes into town, which is just north here of Tampa, but if they have their fans that come in from out of town, I mean, they make the road trip with them as well. And I think that's kind of like the advantage that you've gotten away from the NBA. I know the NBA is worth millions upon billions of dollars. We all get it. We all understand it. But there's a difference when you have that hometown still mentality, where you can infuse that into everyone, and everyone can end up joining in and just having fun. And especially if they're down in Tampa, because they're right next to Armature Works. You're right downtown Tampa. So you can take you and the family, go for a walk, walk around the walk itself is about 2 miles long in between Ybor City down to Tampa. But all that culminates where you can enjoy your time watching these guys put in the best time they possibly can on the floor. And at the end of the game, I mean, you still see them shaking hands. You still see them doing things that you probably wouldn't see at another level, because they talk to each other after the game is over, whether one team was beaten by 10, and or if you end up going on the losing end, it doesn't matter, because they still end up getting along and making that connection. And that, to me, that speaks volumes as far as when it comes to this team.
Again, when I was there, David Stern hadn't quite come in. Still Lawrence O'Brien was the commissioner. Stern and Adam Silver have made this the global game, and it's the best league in the world, in my opinion. I'm a Cubs fan. I hate to tell you Phillies guys that, because I'm from South Bend up by Chicago. I grew up watching WGN. I like the Bears. I like the Cubs. I like the Bulls. I like the Blackhawks. All that stuff, because that's where it is. But you've got to have respect for the global game that we have, that Adam and David built. So by no means when I ever say something about the NBA that I'm taking a shot at them, but the nature of the star power has gotten so big that a Boogie Cousins can play 9 years at one team and go through 10 coaches. And you go, the only constant is you can't touch that guy. He behaves any way he wants to. And we can't make him better. So instead of being Boogie, being one of the best players ever in the game, he had that potential. He's a journeyman that bounced around, got a ring. He did a few things, but we never saw what he could be, because no one was allowed to really coach him, including George Karl, one of the best coaches that ever coached the game. And you look at, that's a problem that league has become so star-driven. We're not. We are. I mean, I remember walking into the Armory in Albany. And I played for Phil Jackson there. We won a CBA championship. Phil went on to do bigger things. Really, anybody that's ever touched me has been great after they leave me. They're not necessarily great with me, but if they're done with me, they're going to be great after. But that was when we brought the team back. That first year, I remember somebody coming up to me, a woman, and she had tears rolling down her eyes. And she said, the last time I was in this armory was 10 years ago to watch a Patroons game in the old CBA. And my dad used to bring me every day, and my dad's gone now. And this reminds me of that time with my dad. And you go, how cool is that, that we could bring back those memories? And that's what the local club team feels like. If you do it well, that doesn't mean they're not still NBA fans. They don't watch TV and all that. Please do. That builds our game up. But celebrate your local guy that you can see, feel, smell, touch, and it's going to be accessible to the game. We don't want our guys to go to locker room. Stay out there at the face, talk and take pictures, kiss babies, and build the brand and make it a good experience.
Right. No, it's true. And you're talking about the small town feel, and just to bring up this picture here, because when you guys walked into the venue on Friday, I will say, first of all, I was pleasantly surprised because I wasn't expecting for you guys to be there, and it was nice when you guys walked into the door. But the one thing, and it shows how the league runs here, because when I saw you and the first words came out of your mouth was, I know you, it made me at least feel good, because at least there's, again, you can see everyone from the league. And there's 44 teams in this league. But you guys, you and Evelyn, you guys get to know the players. You guys get to know the owners. You guys get to know everyone, even though you may not be there at every single venue. But it's cool to even see something like that. And it was fun having you guys there the whole entire time. I had the opportunity of having interviewed Evelyn after, just on the fly, when the game was still going on as far as the post game, after it was over. And it's so much fun to be able to do something like that versus, again, you might not be able to do it in other leagues. And I think that's where I take away my stuff. And everybody can see there on the banner as well. That's the reason why I had the TV on the Tampa Bay Titans on the banner, because I want people to understand how good you feel when you go to one of these games. And it doesn't have to be just for the Titans. It could be anywhere in this league. And that to me means the world, because, again, you can be anywhere else. But if you stay local, you cheer on the local fans, I mean, it's so worthwhile. And we can't thank, between you, Evelyn, and everyone who puts in all the hard work, David, at all, because it's so much fun. I will say that much. I don't want the season to end. I know it has to, unfortunately. I don't want it to end, but it's been so much fun.
Well, we've been fortunate. Our playoffs crowds tend to grow. So, at the end of 4 years ago, 5 years ago, the first year, the last game, we had 3,000 or 4,000 people. The next year, and that was in Yakima, Washington. The next year, the last game was in Albany, New York, and we had about 3,000 fans. And then we had COVID, and we came back, and last year we had 2,400 fans. And these are almost maxing out these venues. And by the time we get to the championship, we play a best 2 out of 3 series. We have 5 rounds this year. Somebody gets through 5 rounds of the championship, their teams could get another 5 to 10 games, and that they're all fun, because every game is you lose, you're out. So they're really fired up to be a part of that, and it makes it really good.
Hey, David, a quick question real quick for you. So as you mentioned with growth, I mean, just to see how much this league has grown from kind of its early roots and the Tampa Bay Titans kind of being one of the earlier teams in this league, to now see you guys are already announcing teams at the beginning of the season for next year. Like, how cool is it to see like teams jumping aboard, even if the 2022 season is going on? They're already getting ready for the 2023 season. I saw Central Florida is going to be a new team, the Central Florida Force. So we're going to have another team here in the state of Florida. But I mean, how exciting is it to see all this growth? And then you see NBA players who are joining in as well with team owners or coaches. I mean, it really is incredible to see how much growth and how much support this league has been given.
Dylan, it's an interesting fact, which is a fact. I have never made an outbound call to get a team. Every team we've ever gotten is someone's called us with interest to buy a team. So it's the basic rule of business is you create demand, limit supply, and increase the price. So the good news is that eventually these teams are going to be worth the millions. And again, you look at our team market owners, they're younger, they're of different diversity. I mean, they're the front end. I mean, we have a lot of black owners. When was the last time a group of people that are young and African-American have a chance to be on the front end of an investment? And if we do a good job and run the business, as we drive it up, all of a sudden we're making millionaires out of these young people, and they're going, wow, look what I got to be a part of. Now, that sounds really easy. It's not nearly as easy as we make it sound, but
Right.
every year we've been able to go up in the valuation of what we sell the teams for, and every year we've been able to make it make more sense, and we've lowered the cost to run a team by adding more teams. You say the Central Florida Force. Well, that now gives us 4 teams in Florida. We might have a 5th. Atlanta's coming back next year for sure. We've got another team in South Georgia's coming, another team in North Carolina. So we're going to have a division that there's very few overnights. The travel comes way down in cost, and we make this a business model that is tenable, that you can make some real money on while you grow your valuation. So all of that means something to us, and that's what we try to do.
No, it's always good. Fuji's good to see you back there. You know, he had to take care of some quick business, but good for you to pop back in. But no, and as we get into the playoffs here, we know, as you said, it's, you know, the best 2 out of 3. You get to see now the teams to be able to excel a little bit more. And as we see the brackets have finally come out, and now we're dying for it all day long for it to come out, and the brackets are finally filled. But as you said, it would be more interesting to see that if as you just stated, if there's more teams within the state, then yes, you know, it does cut down on the cost as far as for teams to travel, which is, I'm pretty sure, ends up helping out their end as well as far as saving money, and then be able to maybe advertise a little bit more. And of course, using social media is the best way to do it, to put the word out for everybody. So it's good to see that you guys, like I said, that you mentioned as well, Black owners are more prevalent in this league, because you can make a difference here. You know, it's affordable. You guys can collectively get together. It doesn't have to be one owner. That's the great thing about it. I mean, the Atlanta one, I believe it's like 5, if I remember correctly. 5 team owners, correct?
The Atlanta one's about to be. Here's a very unique concept, and if I run out of juice, I'm sorry, but the Atlanta one is about to be owned by an NFT. Now, think about this. An NFT is a non-fungible token that's an electronic collectible on a phone. Now, I'm old explaining this, so Dylan, if I miss it, tell me what's right. But it's basically like having a basketball card in your phone. So you have this collectible, it's dated, it's time-stamped, whatever they do. But what makes them valuable is either one, because they are famous. You know, it's a picture of Steph Curry. 2, they're infamous. They're Kindle, and they got 10 million followers. Or 3, they're value added. So that means you can make money, or you can be a part of something really cool. These NFTs, you'll be able to own a team. So you buy an NFT as a collectible, but it will be owning a team, which is called a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, which means it will actually own and operate that team. So how cool is it to buy this thing? It's in your digital wallet, and you get to vote on the color of the uniforms, the logo, where the team plays, who the coach is, who the GM is, what's going on, what should we do here? But I mean, just really, literally is going to be run by that NFT group. Now, the more of those that you own, the more power you're going to have in the voting. But what a unique way to look at a business model. Yeah. And it's something that we can do because of our size and our freshness, that we're big enough that it's relevant, but we're not too big that we can't pull that off. So it makes it pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember, David, when that actually was announced by Atlanta, because I follow all the teams here in the area, obviously being the broadcaster formerly of the team, and obviously now Angel taking over the reins and such mid-season. But I remember when that was announced, and the first thing I thought of when I saw that was announced was I don't know if you've recently heard of this, the Fan-Controlled Football League is a new league, and it's got Johnny Manziel and Terrell Owens. And I kind of thought it may have been similar, but I wasn't sure how it worked and such. I know
that's even more. Actually, the fans get to make the plays on that.
Yeah, okay.
You get the vote on what they're going to run, which is a whole different concept, but it's fun. And the difference with us is that may be a little gimmicky and may not have staying power, although the entity that owns it has raised a ton of money. So I think they're going to be around for a while because they're really well funded. Mm-hmm. We, on the other hand, have a more traditional model. We're just giving a different – we're almost like a hybrid of that with the Green Bay Packers where the fans own the team. So you're able to do something really cool with it, which makes it go. And I'm sorry if this phone dies. I didn't get a chance to charge it 100%. And these interviews take a little longer. So if it does, know that I'm really enjoying this.
No problem. And we thank you. As I know, listen, first of all, you've been in headquarters since the games ended over the weekend to then put together all these schedules. So Memorial Day, as much as everyone was enjoying it, we know you were in the headquarters, you're in there with the commissioner, you're in there taking care of business. But we appreciate, of course, you coming on, and just in case I don't get a chance to say it before your phone dies there, but we appreciate you for what you guys have done. And again, putting between the league, now the playoffs, falling for the Tampa Bay Titans for the first time. They've been around for a couple of years, but it's good to see that they're in the playoffs. And so I would imagine, I would love to be a fly on the wall when all this stuff goes on. So I think next year, David, if you don't mind, when you guys are in your headquarters, I'll be in that little window just on the outside, just have one eyeball in looking in just to see how all the process works. But I imagine it's something.
I think we're going to do a weekly podcast next year. And what we'll probably do is get some really key people like you guys that rotate it, and we do 3 or 4 of the best ones, do one a week, because we'll announce today that we're going to start rebroadcasting our games on some TV and the All Sports Network, and they're looking for stuff like this show. So we want to create more and more shows for the teams, for the league. So we'll be getting a hold of you guys.
Oh, we appreciate it. So I don't want your phone to die and then you end up going away just kind of mysteriously there. But if you have to run, I understand, because I don't want your phone to completely die.
I am going to drop because literally it's going to go. And I'd rather end on a high note. Thanks for your time. You guys were great. Great questions. It was a lot of fun. And I'm excited to be a part of what we're doing. And appreciate for all your help, guys.
Not a problem. We have one quick question that came in here. It says, Sean, a good friend of the show, he says, what player did you enjoy playing against the best?
I would say enjoy playing against in my career. I had a fun summer one time playing against Larry every day in Terre Haute, Indiana State. That was really cool. I played against James Worthy twice as a junior and senior. And, he was the guy I matched up against, and he became a great NBA player. And, he's longer, stronger, jump higher, bigger hands, bigger than I am. I'm a little more skilled. I can handle the ball and shoot a little bit better. So I held my own with him. So I appreciate getting to play against James Worthy. In the NBA, most of my action shots, I have my warm-ups on still. So, I played so little, my snaps rushed and shut on my sweats. So I can't say I have anybody that's great memories in the NBA except for a Philadelphia Sixer, World B. Free, was on my team at the second half of my year with Cleveland. And I loved that guy. We played one-on-one every day after practice. And he loved the fact that I liked to play so much. He wouldn't practice very hard. But boy, when it came time to play one-on-one, he'd come, he'd bring it. And I loved being with him. So those were some people that I got a chance to be around in my era, and it was pretty cool. And I'm just a Walter Mitty living the dream life of getting to do what I want to do in life, and waking up every morning at 5:30. Can't wait to get after what I'm doing.
Dave, quick question before you go, and I'm sure you get this a million times every day. Who's the GOAT?
Michael.
All right. Just one
here for life.
It's not even close. I mean, he's just he didn't have to. Like, I love the statement. He never went in and told them who to draft. He never told them who to get. He just said, whoever I got, I'm going to win with. And you're either that way or you're not. And I would look at guys and I'd say, I remember one time Chris Webber was the highest player in the NBA, and they were in the conference semifinals against the Lakers, and they lost with Sacramento. And he made a statement, maybe I need to go to a team with a little bit more talent. You're the highest guy in the league. How is that not enough? Or Jason Kidd went back-to-back years to the finals with the Nets. And his statement was, I got to go someplace where I have a chance to win. You're Jason Kidd, and you're in the finals. I mean, you are the chance to win. That's how Michael thought about it. We're winning because I am that good. And I have respect for that. I don't need to go hire a bunch of people to come with me to be good. I'm that good that I can make that happen. I would argue that the most gifted, talented athlete that ever played the game is LeBron. There's never been a 6'8", 6'9" kid, his body type, with his athleticism, with his skill set, can pass, can shoot, can score. He is as good as anyone's ever been there.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be lying if I could put him in the same category. And quite frankly, I don't even like how they judge the Lakers because they don't think about West and Baylor and Chamberlain and Jabbar and even Magic a lot of times. They forget about a lot of those guys, and you're sitting there going, really? Listen, God love Kobe, God rest his soul. He was a great player. But to put him above all those guys, come on. I mean, there's a really short memory for greatness, that's for sure.
A couple months ago, Charles Barkley interviewed Julius Erving. And Charles Barkley said, well, who would you start a team with? And Doc replied, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would be his first pick to build a dream team with.
And again, how do you deny that? I mean, the guy won 3 state championships in New York. He won 3 national championships in college, and he won 4 or 5 in NBA championships. I mean, he's the all-time leading scorer. He's a legit footer. You know, Bill Russell's a whale of a player. Well, Bill Russell's 6'9". There's a big difference between what Bill would bring to today's game and what Kareem could. Kareem's relevant no matter what. Thank you, guys.
It's been a pleasure.
David. Appreciate
Thank you so
it
much
so
for
much.
joining us. We
Thank
do
you.
appreciate it.
Be blessed. Bye-bye.
Take care.
So I wanted to put it out there because his phone's about to die, so you want to make sure that, you know, not to just kind of go into oblivion.
Have a decent finish.
Exactly. But now, getting into a little bonus time here. I know we're coming up here on the hour, but get into some bonus time. Now, here, well, a couple things to go into. First of all, from what was put out there on social media, I guess John Clark needed to, for some reason, put it out there that Mikey missed. His last day was today on the Fanatic. Now, we know that about 5-6 years ago, Mikey Miss had gotten the biggest contract he ever gotten from 97.5 the Fanatic. The contract was coming up. I don't think there was going to be a re-sign. I think after a while, and who knows, Mikey Miss might pop up somewhere else. We don't know exactly where he's going to end up going. Could go to 94, could decide to say, you know what, that's it. Could have been a fallout. Who knows? There's going to be all kinds of rumors, speculations, all kinds of fun stuff. But Mikey Miss, apparently the last day for him was today. I know Natalie Engeloff, she had put out her message saying that she wouldn't be where she is today if it wasn't for Mikey Miss. And I'm pretty sure Mikey Miss ended up helping a lot of people along the way. I know there was people who didn't like him. I know some people end up calling him, Howard Eskin 2.0 because it seemed to be the same way. Mikey Miss sometimes will put you in your place. If he knew exactly, if he could argue a point and put it to where the argument was valid, he would just state whatever he is. So, again, you could love him, you could hate him, but I guess today ended up being his abrupt ending to 97.5. And we know for those who live in Philadelphia, the longest probably tenured afternoon guy other than Cataldi in the morning. But I mean, he always had the ratings locked for 97.5. And I might just come to a point where either he could have been done, or who knows. But if he goes over to WIP, which I think that Sean's kind of hinting around here, that he might end up going over there. But I don't know. I don't see him replacing Angelo. I don't think that I don't think Mikey Miss will be good in the morning. I will say that much.
Well,
drive time was good, but morning radio, I don't think that's him.
Just to piggyback on what you said, I believe Howard Eskin was, the drive time, the afternoon guy for a long time on WIP before he stepped away. Like Mikey Miss running a close second. I had a conversation with a coworker today, and he stated this. He believes Mikey Miss probably wouldn't go back to WIP since Howard's Eskin is still there, just because of the falling outs that they've had. Go back to Steve Fredericks and Mike Missinelli back in the early 90s when, the crossover Eskin was done around 6, was done in the afternoon. No, I'm sorry. It was Steve and Mike in the afternoon from like 2, I forget what the time slot was, but make a long story short. Eskin and Steve Fredericks always had that rivalry for some reason. They just never got along, but it was there between Missinelli and Eskin. Supposedly can't stand each other. So I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, Angelo Cataldi's due to retire by year's end, and who knows? Maybe he could hold out. But like you said, I can't really see Mikey Miss doing a morning show. But then again, who the heck knows what's going on behind the scenes? What I read today from Crossing Broad is they reported that Mikey Miss's contract was up last year, and they did a 1-year deal. And then I guess it got to the point where they did a short-term deal for like 6 months. And I believe today, as you said, Mikey Miss is out at 97.5. So the thing of it is 97.5 really going to be able to, as far as ratings, I believe WIP is still, I don't know about the time slots, but, how much longer could 97.5 be around? That's another story, especially now Mikey Miss being out, and it just seems like WIP's kind of dominated the airways, for quite a few years. 97.5 was there, but, you can only have really one talk station in Philadelphia.
Well, hey, Angel, we got us three. We could always take over. We could be one of the morning shows. We could be brought. That would be a dream.
What's up? What's your take of this, Angel? Not to cut you off. Go on.
For Mikey Miss, I think it's so. Mikey Miss, I think he kind of ran. He may have also run himself out of the building as well. And I know Mikey Miss was towards the very. I don't even want to say like the last 2 years. It's been either. And I know people might hear this and say whatever they want to, but I think Mikey Miss, at times he backed himself in a corner. And he's helped people. I'm never going to take that away from Mikey Miss because he's helped a lot of people. That's for sure. He never rubbed me the wrong way, so I can never say anything like super negative about Mikey Miss. I just think he may have just backed himself into a corner where, the Fanatic may have decided to say, you know what, we're just going to take this a whole different route. Obviously, they changed the morning show with John Kincaid. They moved Angelo to middays. They switched a couple things around, and I think it comes to the point of, okay, if we need to be competitive with 94, and we know, listen, when sports radio was on AM, 94 ruled it for years and years and years on AM. They switch over to FM. They basically take the guys from the Fanatic and shift them over to WIP. And Spike, as much as people may have hated him as well, and he's no longer, I believe, with WIP as well, but he made the moves. Jimmy Seltz he brought over there. Johnny Cameron he brought over there. I mean, he brought guys over there. You have John Marks over there as well. So you shifted these guys into a market that's been there for years. But now if you're a Fanatic, either A, you have something in the works that that you want to do to change things up a little bit, and/or Mikey Miss just ran his course. Not that Mikey Miss is hurt for any kind of money whatsoever, because obviously he's a professor. He still teaches. I'm pretty sure that's where he gets the majority of his bread and butter from. Even though the Fanatic gave him the wealthiest contract ever in Philly as far as for a radio personality. Right. But at the same time, too, you can't keep raising those stakes. And I'm not saying that Mikey Miss did, but let's just say they gave Mikey Miss $20 million for 5 years. At the rate of the way things are going right now in our society, there's no way in the world you're going to be able to survive as a radio station with having low ratings and paying one person a major contract, and then having your other show saying, hey, you're paying our drive time guy X amount. We're your morning show. How come we're not anywhere near around that realm, around that capacity? And then it turns around that people would turn around and they say they don't want to be there. John Kincaid told us, if he can't be who John Kincaid is, he would be done. He said it to me when I was down here in Florida, when he came down here with Philly Sports Trips. He had talked about it on the podcast. He had talked about it again when we had talked to us. So it comes down to, if you can't be yourself anymore, and we know on regular radio, and it all depends too, because on regular radio, just like social media, sometimes you can look the right part, and people will share your content, and you'll be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And in other times, when age starts coming into a factor, people don't pay attention as much anymore. And Mikey Miss was controversial, but again, he knew what he wanted to talk about. He knew what it was to be successful. And obviously it showed for many years, because for me, even when I was back home, that was my drive home was Mikey Miss from 2 to 6, because it was always something with Mikey Miss. He He knew how to grab your attention. He knew at times how to get under your skin. And even if you had a great argument, he would do everything he possibly could to freaking knock you out of the park. But sometimes he got knocked out of the park.
Right. I mean, you go back to Missinelli or Esk, and there was always, some backlash a couple times or controversy that blew up the airwaves. And, both of those guys knew how to sell it.
No, they did. And that's, God bless him, because again, he's not going to be hurting for anything. Do I see him at WIP at some form of fashion? I just don't see him on the morning radio. And nothing against Cataldi. Cataldi was never, ever, 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 period, my morning drive, because there was times where it ran its course. And you can hear almost like everyone just agreeing with everything that Cataldi wanted to say. If he said the most silliest joke, oh, that's hilarious, that's funny, that's really good, fine. You knocked that one out of the park. And who knows if those relationships were even real. But you know what?
Oh.
The man, he had morning radio in Philly for many, 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 many years. He was able to be successful. He made WIP tons of money. So you can't even take that away from Cataldi as well. But even I'm pretty sure Angelo probably just woke up one morning and thought the same thing. You know what? That's it. I'm done. What else do I need to talk about? I've seen championships. I've been there, done that. So what else could you possibly do?
All right. I mean, you go back to when Angelo Cataldi and Tom Brookshire, I believe, started in probably the late 80s with the morning show originally, before Al Morgani, Tony Bruno, Maria Hughes, and so on.
Well, the one other thing that's been the hot topic, Flyers, one of the things that I would say as far as the Flyers, I'll kind of pause that. I was reading a comment here. I'm not too sure around what it is, but I'll get back to it. But the one thing I will say about the Flyers are trying to get someone out there, but the Flyers, to me, they're not seriously looking at what they actually physically need. When the Flyers are going to be contenders again, I don't know. In Philly, when it comes to the Flyers, Fuji, you said it best right now. I think you got to rank it. You have Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers. And matter of fact, Union, then Flyers. And if there's an actual matter of fact, the lacrosse team, then the Flyers. I could keep going how down the spectrum.
Are the Philadelphia Souls still a thing?
No, they're unfortunately COVID ran them out of town.
Well, you can still add them into the list. They still are better than the Flyers right now. They won a few championships.
Oh, the Soul won a couple championships since 1975.
You can also add Bon Jovi into that mix as well.
Oh, not they used to be part of it, or not anymore.
Yeah, you can still add them in.
Yeah, but listen, the Flyers at this point really are not looking to be contenders. They're really, and I hate to say it. And before everybody says, "Oh, you're a homer because you like the Lightning," whatever, blah blah blah. I follow the team because I live down here. It's no different than as far as following the Bucks, because unfortunately, when it comes down to it, yes, we do have obviously Tampa fans, we have Orlando fans, we have Miami fans. We can talk about the Miami Dolphins as well and how they're approaching things. So we do have a following down here as well in the Tampa region. But when it comes down to it, the Flyers are just not where they want to be. I know Claude Giroux wanted to say something while he was down there with the Panthers. And sure, it's easy to say whatever you want to when you're with the other organization. Why didn't you tell that to the Flyers fan base when you were there? You played your 1,000th game. So why don't you say, if you were going to go out, you might as well just say, you know what? The organization sucks. Whatever it was that you needed to say, you should have said it right then and there. But you wait till you're down here in Florida with the Panthers, and you're saying, you get it, you understand it. This team wants to win in the whole 9 yards. They didn't against the Lightning. They were swept out. But even so, the Flyers are nowhere where they want to be. When Ed Snyder passed away, the passion with the Flyers passed away with Ed. Say what anybody wants to. What's that?
It became corporate.
Right. It did. And so that's what to me, you're not going to find – who are you going to – throw a name out there, Fuji. Any name, throw them out there. Who really wants to play for the Flyers? Who wants to coach the Flyers?
You hear Barry Trotz. You hear, different names. Rick Tockett's name's mentioned, I believe. Trying to think of a couple other gentlemen, but John, the heck's his name?
Fuji can coach him.
He coached the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Barry Melrose?
No.
No,
You could have him on. He could be your Philadelphia Flyers talk show host.
No, I know who you're talking about because he was let go by the Lightning, and then I believe
He's
he was
been
going to
around.
come. Yeah, he went. I think to come with Blue Jackets, and the Blue Jackets also let him go as well. But you can't.
Or in St. Louis, maybe might be available.
No, he's staying in Toronto. He's not coming on this way.
John Tortorella.
There you go. But he's not. No offense to John either. He's not a head coach anymore.
Well, he was interviewed by the Flyers last week.
Yeah, but he's not. Okay. He's not going to get the organization where they need to be. It's that simple. He's not. He
I know
tried
that.
it,
I'm just stating the facts of who was.
Yeah. But again, but that goes to show you too. You don't have. It's different. David said right that they're calling them to join the league. No one is calling the Flyers because who's going to pick up the phone? Gritty? What's he going to shake around and tell them exactly what's
Howie Roseman.
Exactly. So you figure they were willing to spend. This is how dumb the organization is. They went to spend money on a mascot. Instead of spending it on the guys that you need, you spend the money on a freaking mascot. For what? The mascot's not going to win a championship for you. I mean, that's like telling President of Philly Fanatic, hey, listen, God bless David Montgomery, but now you're running the ship. What do you have, a mind running the Phillies? It is what it is right now.
He's a good-looking guy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, bring some passion maybe that maybe is lackluster right now.
Yeah, but it's just, you just don't know where this organization's going to go.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just going to be, who the hell knows?
But I will say, I got to say, though, the Lightning big series, by the way, starting on Wednesday against the New York Rangers, and hopefully they can become the first team since the other New York team, the Islanders, and win 3 in a row. It will be impressive, and this is a Lightning team that I didn't have much hope for in the Toronto series, and after that Florida series and the Panthers obviously caring more about going to the club and partying the night before their game on Monday, which they ended up losing, I believe that the Lightning may actually have a shot, though, to win the series against the Rangers and find themselves back into the Stanley Cup.
If you take a look. What's that?
Are you for certain about the Islanders?
Yeah, I'm for certain.
All right. I know they won 4 in a row, but
yeah, I'm
those
almost for
Edmonton
certain.
Oilers were a dynasty.
I don't think Edmonton went 3-peat, though. I think
no, they won back to back.
Yeah, they went back to back, but no, I'm pretty sure it was
my
Islanders.
mistake. I had to think there for a minute.
No, you're good. You're good.
Go back to the late 80s, early 90s.
But I think it's gonna be a good Eastern Conference final. It's good to see the Rangers back, though, in kind of a decent spot because they've kind of struggled the last few years, and it's good to see them, I guess, back in kind of the spotlight, if you will.
You got a Rangers jersey?
I do not. I have a Texas Rangers hat, though.
Two different teams.
Yeah, but
Texas and New York,
I mean they have the same colors.
At least it's like Cowboys and Rangers. Just
I mean, they're at least. I mean, Cowboys and Rangers, they play like literally in the same complex. So I mean, that's more.
I'm talking about the New York hockey.
Okay.
Not the Texas baseball Rangers.
I thought you were talking about Texas Rangers. I'm about to say they play in the same. They play in the same states. So I mean,
it's just New York and Dallas just don't go with Philly.
Don't go very well.
It's oil and vinegar.
By the way, the Dunedin Blue Jays are playing the Clearwater Threshers Fuji right now. So just got to get that out there.
Go Threshers.
Go Blue Jays. Dunedin. Let's go.
Oh boy! But the other side of the ice as well, you got Colorado and Edmonton on tonight as well. So that should be. And if I have to get the edge, I think I'm gonna give the edge to the Avs. If I look at it, I think the Avs have the edge over Edmonton, and that would be, again, not saying that it will, but either or, whether it be in the Rangers or whether it be in the Lightning, that would be an interesting series against the Avs. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a moment since, and I'm pretty sure one of our fans that normally jumps on the show tonight, I'm quite certain he's tuned into the game as well. Mm-hmm. But that would be a real interesting series.
If I'm not sorry. No. I was going to say, if I'm not mistaken, the Avalanche, I don't believe they made it to the finals or to the NHL Stanley Cup championship games since I think they won the Stanley Cup. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they haven't been to the Stanley Cup since they won the Stanley Cup back in like the '96 season, I believe it was when they were
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s. Okay,
Ray Bork. They got Ray Bork in the trade from the Boston Bruins.
That's right.
And Ray Bork retired. Peter Forsberg.
Yeah, mid 2000s.
Patrick Waugh.
Robert says, I bet some of these college teams could play better now than some of the pro teams, which is absolutely true. And then Sean chimed in earlier. He said the Flyers are a crap show since Comcast owns them. With John Torletta and since McKinnon of the Avalanche is playing lights out, which not surprising. See, not surprising. So I think it would be a good series. I think I would like to see. Truthfully, I would like to see the Lightning versus the Avs. I think that would be all 7 games. I don't think you're not sweeping. The same way that Lightning are not by any means sweeping the Rangers, because you never know. Right now, the Rangers have the momentum, but it's hard to continue that winning pace. So, and the only advantage that they have is they are able to open up the series tomorrow night in New York, the first 2 games, and then obviously then you come back down to the Tampa. But the last thing that I want to get to here, which a lot of people are calling for Joe Girardi's head to be fired from the Phillies. And I keep saying this, and I say it even more than I'm down here in Tampa, is that a lot of things that the Philadelphia faithful tend to forget. It is just not the manager. You got pitching coaches, you got batting coaches, you have your hitting coach, you have the guy basically who stretches out your muscle. Your players, you guys need to come to understanding that if you are not playing to your full potential, you need to figure out why you're not playing at your full potential before people start going for Joe Girardi's head. Okay, yeah, they're 11.5 back at this point. But if you keep, again, I would love for someone to say, and I heard the silliest things, that there was someone with like Lenny Dykstra. Lenny Dykstra can't take care of Lenny Dykstra. So how is Lenny Dykstra going to take care of the Phillies?
Well, there's a lot of blame to go around. I mean, all right, should Girardi go? Who are you going to replace him with?
Yep.
Also, Dombrowski, you bring in guys like Familia, Brad Hand. Like, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a 3rd-degree burn with this damn bullpen. Every year, it's like a revolving door of guys you bring in. And as I said, Dombrowski's got to take some of the fall too. I mean, obviously, like I stated last night to our friend David Esser on Twitter, the reason they go out and spend stupid money is because they got a depleted farm system. You can touch on this, Dylan. You seen what's down there in the minors, down there in Florida, and it's stupid money. I mean, all right, Castellanos, great pickup, but you got to have some homegrown talent. They have a couple guys, but not enough. Nick Nelson, how's this guy in baseball?
Yeah. And even some of the guys recently who have been their top prospects, like guys like Mickey Moniak. I mean, Moniak's been good, but he's also dealt with a lot of injuries, and he was in the minors forever. I mean, he was drafted as a number 1 pick and was in the minor leagues forever. I mean, fortunately, he sort of panned out when he got to the major league level. But, I mean, you look at some of those guys, Vierling, guys who, have been in the minor league system for a while, they finally get their, show, and they do good and stuff, but, they deal with injuries or they have something else and such. And then obviously lower in the minor leagues for the Phillies, it's not really, the best, if you will. I mean, you got Andrew Painter, who's killing it down in the minor leagues. I'll give that. Andrew Painter is a young top pitching prospect for the Phillies, so I think he's going to be a stud. But, I mean, it's kind of, you're kind of picking and choosing who you got in the minor league system for the Phillies right now. And, they just don't – they put their money in on their bats, but they haven't put enough in on what needs to actually be done, and that's the bullpen. Because the bullpen right now is, as you mentioned, they're just basically putting on Band-Aids and hoping that they turn out decent.
Well,
like, Familia hasn't been good in, 5 years? Yeah, since he was with the Mets. I mean, and then Brad Hand, he's okay here and there, but, I mean, all in all, I mean, you got – I mean – I know pitching can be off and on. Like, I mean, you look at the Rays, they get guys who are nobodies and they end up pitching great. But I mean, it's weird. It's a weird time right now to be a Phillies fan because the team's not playing well and they're streaky right now. It's not a
this team don't even have a legitimate leadoff hitter.
No.
When you're plugging Segura, Herrera, leading off Reese Hoskins, and Schwarber batting like 189. I mean, come on.
And It's like Sean's comment. He says it comes down to there it is. It comes down to Girardi and the blow pen. I'm sorry, full pen. And that's exactly what it is. It's the blow pen. He's absolutely right. You gotta get an everyday center fielder, but it's true because they want to spend the money, and we talked about this. Fuji and I, we talked about this on the phone, way prior to the show tonight, is that they didn't spend, they were looking for their starting pitching rotation. Okay, so you have it. Maybe not all together, but you have it. But you didn't. You short reliever, long reliever, middle reliever, you don't have those. So what do you expect from a coach or a manager if you don't have the necessary tools to be able to put the team together? And unfortunately, that's not what we're seeing. You take a team like the Chicago White Sox that from, again, single A to triple A to now the majors, they have done things right the way they're supposed to. And speaking of, Tony La Russa was completely right when he mentioned about Gabe Kapler, because you don't bring the national anthem into things that it is doing with everyday society stuff. I hate when people are starting to use now the national anthem as a crutch to say, I don't like the way this country's going, and therefore I'm going to choose not to come out during the national anthem. Well, you know what? You can also choose to see yourself to go out of this country as well, because don't forget the men and women who defend this great nation for that national anthem that you sing, and for you to be that coach, right? Let's not forget that, first and foremost. So, Gabe, no one's missing you, right? You can do your gym tan laundry somewhere else in some other freaking place. If you want to go overseas, go overseas. Let me know how it works out for you, because I can guarantee you're not going to get the same stuff that you get from the Giants that you will here. So, good riddance to him, and he was in the first place. I'm glad he's gone, and him and his stupid analytics. But anyways, Minnie, glad to see him back. Maniac came back is positive. Don't want to see Abdul out there. Abdul Herrera. Rick says, number one, why use a manager like Girardi if analytics can be done by a computer? And two, if analytics are so great, why are the Phillies under 500? Which is true. Analytics to me, I'm sorry, it's old school baseball. That's something, speaking about Jim Tan Laundry, that's what that moron wanted all the time.
Nobody plays that. Nobody plays small ball anymore.
Yeah, nobody does.
Fundamentals. Nobody bunts, nobody steals, no hit and run. Like, that's just how it is. It's ESPN reels. How many home runs or how many extra base hits are you going to hit? That's all. Yeah,
it. I will be honest. It is kind of like unfortunate to see baseball like turning into a sport that people just care about hitting home runs and the incredible plays. And don't get me wrong, don't foreshadow that, because that is a part of the game and that should be still like looked at. But there are guys who are having 3 for 4 nights and are hitting the ball, singles and doubles and just contributing. And that's really what's important, is if you can get on base and contribute in any way you can, and just being able to get base hits and adding in runs. I mean, that's all that matters.
Yeah, but this team, this Phillies lineup, all they do is live and die by the long ball.
Oh, I know. That's how baseball most of the time.
Runs without hitting home runs.
Yeah.
Well, it's look at the NBA. The NBA is living and dying by what? The 3.
The long ball.
That's what the NBA is going by. It's nothing but 3s. Oh. You can't. What happened to going in the paint? What happened to your short turnaround jumpers? What happened to your easy layups? No, everybody wants to go by the 3s.
I must say, well, with the NBA, with the 3 ball, I mean, that's a little bit different. That's just the evolution of the game. In terms of baseball, it's so analytical now, and it's become to a point where it's like, I don't know, like in basketball, like it's just different. Like the 3 ball is just a part of people's games. That's actually, like in I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's kind of different in my opinion. I don't know.
It's just different than the era we grew up in.
Yeah.
The big man like Kareem, Moses Malone, Shaq right down in the paint, boxing out, getting rebounds. Love Joel Embiid, but when you're taking 3s from the top of the key, that always fired me up.
Yeah, I mean stuff like that. I think like if you're like a center taking 3s, I would get mad. But I mean,
it's just not what we came up in.
No, I understand. I understand.
What Sean says, well saying, Joel. Kapler and his ice cream eating, coconut oil wearing can get the hell out. And listen, I'm not the one that tries to bring anybody down, because I always say you don't have to talk crap about anyone, because they do it to themselves. But one thing that people tend to forget in this great nation of ours, even if you don't agree upon everything that's going on in our society, you are not able to do what you do here in America in other countries. Let me point that out to everyone. I took the oath many years ago to defend this country, and until this day, I will defend this country if called back to action to do so, because that's how much I love being here, being able to do what we do right now on camera, This is exactly what I love to do. But don't turn around and act because you're going to take it out on the national anthem, something that has nothing to do with society, to do what you end up doing. So I still don't care for Gabe. I really don't. I don't care for Gabe. For the people who decide they want to go and hang out in their locker rooms because they don't want to come out during the national anthem and everything else, you know what? Go overseas and let me know how it works out for you. But with that being said, I'm going to leave it alone before I go into a major rant.
Calm down, my man. Let's just what was said was said. Let's just get to the fact of the points of analytics. You know, that's just how. To me, it's just baseball's killing itself. They're losing fans. They have been losing fans for a long time. I don't agree with analytics. I'm an old guy, but you know, you just got to take the sport for what it is. It's, you know, it's just how it is, and you know that there's always been a black eye on baseball, no matter what. You know, billionaires and millionaires fighting. They want to change this. They want to put a speed clock in. You want to get rid of umpires and put robots and all this. It's a dying sport. It's a shame. Grow up loving it, but it's not the game it was 30, 40 years ago.
No, it's not. But Dylan, I know you had one last thing to say here before we wrap up because it's a super bonus time.
Yeah, so I got two things real quick. I told you, Angel, about this, I believe today. Did I tell you? I might have figured out the first time, but I do have a second gig now, gig. I'm now working for Fansided as a Rays paid contributor. So I am now going to be writing articles for fansided.com as a Rays contributor. So I will be writing about the Tampa Bay Rays here in the area. So very excited to start getting to work on that. And then my final thing, and Angel, I'm not sure if you said anything, but I do want to say, I want to give my condolences out for the tragedy that happened last week with the Uvalde shooting. Definitely terrible what happened. And my condolences go out to everybody out there in Texas because that was it was really sad. It was sad to see that, and you know, I know we try to stay positive here on the show, but you know, it was definitely disappointing to see that happen, and yeah. So that's all I got to say.
Congratulations on your new gig.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's going to be interesting because I work for the Blue Jays, and I'm going to be covering an AL East opponent, so it's going to be interesting to
best of both
to be covering
worlds.
it, but it's going to be fun. I'm excited for it. So.
Best of both worlds, and hey, go back and forth.
Yeah, and the great thing about Fansided is they're owned and run by the same company that also owns Sports Illustrated. So this is a very pretty big company, and it's got some backing towards it. So I'm pretty excited.
Is Fuge pulling for the Lightning?
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. Rick, we're going to end the show on that one. Yes, he is. He just bought his Lightning jersey, so yes, he is pulling for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
You got your Stammer jersey in there, Fuge?
I'm from Philly. I don't root for New York.
New York
can't do it.
No,
Why would I root for the Rangers, the Devils?
It's
the Yankees,
the Lightning, Fuge. It's the Lightning. It's Tampa.
So why would I root for New York?
Oh, okay.
From Philly.
I'm thinking
Philly. No one likes us. We don't care.
Hey, listen, Angel. You said earlier, Angel, that you follow the Bucks, so we now know that you are a Bucks fan. Thank you, by the way. We appreciate it. Welcome to the crew. We'll get you your pirate hat and your pirate hat.
That one went right over Fuji's head. That one went over Fuji's head.
It was over Fuji's head, and then you got to say something at the very end. Thanks, Dylan.
This is all facts live and in your face, folks. You heard it here from my man Dylan. You finally, just bring the Brady jersey.
I don't have a Brady jersey.
A message to Benedict Arnold. Finally, thank you, Dylan. You know, I guess I had to step away and I didn't hear that. But
he also said Dolphins and Jaguars too, so we got
exactly.
You know what? No offense to any Dolphins fan, but that organization hasn't been right since Dan Marino and Don Shula, since Marino retired in '99.
Yeah, maybe also since J-Lo bought that franchise how many years ago?
Jacksonville, I hope Dougie P does something with that franchise, but that team will be playing over across the pond in a couple of years. That's where it's going. You're going to get some football teams in Europe. I mean, there's first game in Germany this year. The Eagles were actually supposed to play Arizona and Mexico, but I don't know what happened with that part.
They're going to get it rescheduled because of everything that's going on as far as the border, and that's the only reason why they wanted to make sure everybody's going to be safe beforehand. So that may happen next year, but they're looking more of 2024 to 2025 at this point.
Right.
And, you can't bring them forward. But Rick says that FYI will be heading to Nashville for Southwest for 2 months, so we'll be checking it from there. Rick, always great to have you check in along with Sean and everyone else. We do appreciate it, and we got to end the show here because we are in super bonus time, and after a while, people end up tuning out only because on the audio side, it makes it long. Not only that, but we enjoy doing what we do and we have fun.
You know why they tuned out? Because they just found out they were a Bucks fan. Stinking turncoat fraud.
Oh, jeez.
Let the games begin.
All right, we should cut that right there.
Anyways.
Finish it right there.
Just keep adding fuel, Dylan. Just please.
Okay.
Let me just keep throwing gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, don't listen to the man behind the glass here. But anyways, if you guys are in the area, the Tampa area, please visit TampaBayTitans.com. Pick up your tickets here. Your playoff ticket is the first time for the Tampa Bay Titans to be in the playoffs. They would love your support. The game should be June 2nd, I believe, even though the basketballleague.net shows June 3rd. So June 2nd at 7:30 on Thursday, we'll get complete confirmation. Make sure we share it on social media. But check out TampaBayTitans.com and also TVLTV.tv so you can view the games and hear the games live on TVL TV. They would appreciate it as well. Today was the Save the Crusade for Kendall, and hopefully that went successfully over their second annual challenge. I'm pretty sure, it was today. So hopefully everyone was able to go out there and do the one-arm challenge, which is pretty neat, and we heard about come last year. Also, make sure you visit TampaJoes.com. Our longest tenure sponsor here on Broad Street South. You can visit them at 9316 Anderson Road in Tampa, Florida. Hop, skip, and jump over from the airport. Please visit TampaJoes.com. And during the Eagles football season, you can be with the Philly of the South Club, run by Mike Klein, right there at Tampa Joe's. We are there from literally August until now January because of the extension of the season. So if you're coming down to Florida, Tampa Joe's is your place to be on game day Sundays or Thursdays or Fridays or Saturdays because apparently every week in the NFL this week, we got games all over the place. And also, if you're looking to travel with the pros with PhillySportsTrips.com. Check out their away lineup games. Arizona being the hottest ticket right now for everyone to be booking. Yes, things are going to be expensive, but also you can go with the A-class organization with Philly Sports Trips and PhillySportsTrips.com. Also with LG Direct. The aim of the studio here at LG Direct Sales Solution Studios, if you guys would do us a favor and visit lgdirect.net, not only just for your business sales solution, but also for any apparel that you may need, hoodies, T-shirts, you name it, visit lgdirect.net or call them at 855-777-3863, 855-777-3863. And with that, I will leave you because it's getting absolutely crazily insane. So thank you to my producer over at Studio B, Debbie, for Dylan, who came in during his off night from the Blue Jays, and from Fuji, and I'll probably have to cut off his mic because I know he's going to say something else wise, but for The Godfather. And by the way, speaking about The Godfather, very cool, Fuji, super cool, that Dave Spadaro mentioned The Godfather 3 times during the broadcast. You're welcome.
Thank you for the acknowledgement.
He's a goat father.
He might end up being by the time we're all said and done. So, Fuji, take us out.
Go Birds.
Go Bucks. Go
How about
Jays.
go Phillies?
Get out of here. That's right. You Tampa Bay Bucks fans.